The Stoics have a famous thought: the whole world is like a divine sanctuary. Sometimes I used to feel anxiety about specific things, like a scheduled flight, a crucial meeting, or even public speaking. But when everything fell apart during the pandemic and we found ourselves confined at home, I realized that the anxiety still persisted. It was there, even without a clear reason. Anxiety simply dwelled within me. Unfortunately, anxiety dwells within us. It might sound strange to think of the Stoics as anxious people. After all, they are often portrayed as invulnerable, fearless, almost devoid of emotions. However, Marcus Aurelius, for example, struggled with anxiety. If he hadn't, he wouldn't have recorded so many notes to himself on how to deal with it. Today, I'd like to share strategies that I've experimented with and are proven to reduce, cope with, alleviate, and perhaps even dissipate anxiety from your life. These are strategies that worked for me, and although it's a continuous battle, just as it was for Marcus Aurelius, for Seneca, these strategies really work. So, let's explore some Stoic strategies to tame anxiety. They not only help face turbulent moments in the world, but also calm inner restlessness. Because in the end, that's what really matters: finding peace even amidst chaos. Let's get into the 10 strategies I've gathered for you. Stick around till the end. It'll surely be worth it. First, focus on the little things. They're not insignificant. George Washington, known for his expression, "Many mickles make a muckle," emphasized the importance of these details. Zeno of Citium also stressed that well-being is achieved through small steps, although it's not trivial. And Marcus Aurelius, in his wisdom, reminds us that we build our lives step by step, action by action, without anyone being able to stop this process. When we feel disheartened by a seemingly distant goal, it's essential to shift focus from that goal itself and concentrate on the immediate task in front of us. Just as the Romans did, as Marcus Aurelius advises us, we should perform that task as if it were the only thing that matters, as if it were the ultimate act of our existence. As simple as it may seem, this approach accumulates. It's not trivial, as Washington reminded us. It's the sum of these small actions that propels us forward. Life is built this way, one step at a time, one day after another, one action at a time, and one understanding at every moment. The secret lies in moving forward, now, in this exact moment, without underestimating the value of these small actions that, together, form the solid foundation of progress, overcoming anxiety and achieving larger goals. Second, practice gratitude. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminds us of the importance of acknowledging the fortune of simply being alive at this moment. Even in the face of chaos and the terrible circumstances that the world often presents us, there are wonders in this experience simply because we are alive to witness it. Taking that for granted, adopting a bitter, skeptical, or cynical attitude towards life, is wasting the present that has been given to us. And there's a reason it's called a gift. It's a valuable present that we've received. Even if this isn't the most glorious time to live, it's the only time we're truly alive. Our attention should turn to what we control, our perceptions and opinions about things. We can't control when or where we are, but we can influence how we perceive and react to the world around us. We try to extract as much as possible from these moments, seek acceptance, and cultivate gratitude for simply being here. This is how we find happiness, anchoring ourselves in the present, regardless of the chaos that may be happening in the world. Looking at inspirational figures like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and other philosophers, we find a recurring pattern: the emphasis on gratitude as a vital component for a fulfilling life. It's a practice that goes beyond mere recognition of blessings. It's about diving deeply into the experience of being alive and finding joy in seemingly simple moments. When we consider individuals who have gone through hardships and adversities, such as Nelson Mandela or Viktor Frankl, we see living examples of this mindset. They found strength and resilience by cultivating gratitude even in the darkest moments. The ability to find gratitude in adversity is truly transformative, allowing us to find peace and contentment no matter how tumultuous the world around us may be. Third, have no opinion. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that it's not necessary to have an opinion on everything. This quote echoes within me constantly. It's not mandatory to form an opinion on every matter. Sometimes we can simply allow things to unfold as they are. We can choose to ignore, acknowledging that something doesn't directly affect us, or just observe without feeling the need to label it as good or bad, fair or unfair. It's simply a matter of being. It's as if we're given permission to look at situations objectively, without the need to impose our own thoughts, beliefs, or judgments on them. It's a practice of acceptance, of allowing the world to present itself to us without the distortion of our prejudices or personal perspectives. Reflecting on this approach leads us to understand that we're not obliged to have an opinion on everything that surrounds us. Thinkers like Epictetus also emphasized this idea of separating what's within our control from what isn't. This discernment offers us a sense of freedom, freeing us from the burden of having to express an opinion on every event or circumstance. Throughout history, we often find illustrious figures who practiced this wisdom. Mahatma Gandhi, for example, maintained a posture of non-judgment and no opinion in many situations. His peaceful approach and refusal to categorize situations as good or bad, right or wrong, demonstrate this philosophy of not having an opinion. This doesn't mean being indifferent or disinterested. On the contrary, it's a conscious way to interact with the world, recognizing that not everything requires our judgment or our view. It's a way to live in peace, allowing things to be as they are, without the constant need to label or evaluate them. Fourth, stop caring about what people think. Marcus Aurelius highlights that true serenity arises when we direct our attention to our actions and words, when we detach ourselves from what others are saying, thinking, or doing. This perspective is an invitation to undo the tie that binds us to others' opinions, to the constant pursuit of external approval or the weight of others' expectations. When we care only about our own actions and words, we find an inner calm that isn't affected by the varied and often unpredictable opinions of the people around us. Other philosophers also shared this teaching. For example, Epictetus, a leading Stoic, emphasized the importance of focusing on what's under our control, which is our thoughts, actions, and words. By focusing on these elements, we release the weight of external expectations, finding a peace that isn't disturbed by others' opinions. Modern thinkers like Brené Brown also explored this concept. She emphasizes the importance of not being attached to the need to please everyone or to mold ourselves to fit external standards. Instead, she stresses the importance of staying true to ourselves, even if it means displeasing some people. By practicing this art of not caring about what others think, we open space for genuine authenticity. Iconic figures like Frida Kahlo or Leonardo da Vinci maintained their authenticity and genius by following their own paths, regardless of the opinions that might arise around their works and lives. By adopting this mentality, it doesn't mean we become indifferent to constructive feedback or empathy for others. On the contrary, it's about recognizing that our inner peace shouldn't be compromised by the constant need to seek others' approval. It's about honoring our own convictions, acting with integrity and authenticity, regardless of external opinions. Fifth, process your emotions. The Stoics weren't advocates of repressing their emotions. Instead, they faced them head-on. That's why we find evidence of their writings, such as Seneca's letters to Lucilius, or even some surviving letters from Marcus Aurelius. They didn't simply ignore or suppress their emotions. Instead, they carefully explored them. The Stoic approach to emotions is like taking an emotional whirlwind when it hits us and subjecting it to careful examination. It's observing, meditating, processing, and delving deep into the origin and core of these emotions. This practice doesn't just aim to understand them, but also to transcend their influence over our lives. Socrates, known for his probing questions, sought, through questioning, to lead people to reflect on their emotions and understand the root of their feelings. This approach wasn't about avoiding or stifling emotions, but about exploring them to achieve a greater understanding and control over oneself. The risk of ignoring or simply suffocating emotions is comparable to putting expenses on a credit card. Emotional debt accumulates, often in unexpected and uncontrolled ways, reflecting in our lives in ways that can be difficult to manage later on. Notable figures like Frida Kahlo channeled their intense emotions into their art, turning pain and passion into masterpieces that echo universal emotions. Through creative expression, she processed her emotions and turned them into something tangible, leaving a lasting legacy. Stoicism doesn't seek to eliminate emotions, but to understand their nature, their origin, and their impact on our lives. By going through the process of exploring and processing our emotions, we not only develop a deeper understanding of ourselves, but also cultivate the ability to deal with them more constructively and healthily. Dealing with our emotions is not just a wise choice, but also a necessity to avoid an exorbitant emotional bill in the future. Just like accumulated debt with interest, if we ignore our emotions, they can accumulate, becoming even more complex and challenging to manage. The Stoics didn't repress their emotions, they faced them head-on, as Seneca points out, when he says they tamed them, not suffocated them. This idea of not paying now, but the bill will come later, is an emotional reality. If we fail to deal with our emotions, they will certainly manifest themselves at inconvenient moments, bringing forth emotional challenges that could have been dealt with earlier. The ability to process, explore, and come to terms with our emotions is crucial to prevent them from turning into more severe problems in the future. It's interesting to observe how historical figures like Martin Luther King Jr. or Malala Yousafzai faced challenging emotional situations and turned their experiences into fuel for change. Instead of ignoring or suffocating their emotions in the face of injustice, they confronted them, channeling them into greater causes that transcended their individual lives. Philosopher Epictetus teaches us about the importance of accepting what we cannot change and directing our energy to what's within our control. This includes the way we process and deal with our emotions. By facing and exploring them, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves, acquiring the ability to act upon them constructively. Often, society encourages us to ignore or minimize our emotions, but this can be a trap. Accepting and processing our feelings doesn't mean being dominated by them. Instead, it's the first step to manage them healthily. It's about developing a conscious and balanced relationship with our emotions, acknowledging their existence without allowing them to control our lives. Sixth, don't suffer from imagined problems. Seneca's observation about suffering generated by imagination deeply resonates with the human experience. He reminds us of a common paradox. We suffer more from what we imagine than from the actual situations we face. Mark Twain also echoes this sentiment, expressing how many of the worries we carry never materialize in reality. It's as if we mentally torture ourselves, anticipating future scenarios and distressing ourselves with possibilities that may or may not come to pass. The truth is that our minds tend to lead us into a maze of imaginary worries. We're constantly engaged in an internal dialogue about what could or should happen, often failing to realize that the real power lies in the now. The present moment is where our tangible actions and decisions reside. It's where we have effective control. It's crucial to recognize that we don't have absolute control over the future. We can't accurately predict what will come next. However, we can prepare ourselves to face future adversities and uncertainties. This is an aspect that's within our domain, being prepared for the challenges tomorrow may bring. Thinkers like Epictetus emphasized the importance of focusing on the present, highlighting that the only thing we have control over is our reactions and actions in the current moment. By fully living in the now, we're directing our energy where it can make a real difference, in the present. This not only brings us a sense of tranquility, but also enables you to deal more effectively with any adversity the future may bring. Often, inspirational figures like Oprah Winfrey or Stephen Hawking demonstrated the ability to face the present, using it as a springboard to build a better future despite uncertainties. They channeled their energy into the now, focusing on concrete actions and present opportunities, instead of getting lost in worrying about what the future might bring. Seventh, choose not to be harmed. The Stoics challenge us to a unique perspective on the harm inflicted by others, the idea that no one can truly harm us without our consent. While they may hurt, attack, or say cruel words, for the Stoics, emotional harm is a choice. It's the way we choose to interpret and react to such situations that determines if we feel harmed. Eleanor Roosevelt also emphasized this idea by stating that no one can make us feel inferior without our consent. This approach challenges the conventional notion that we are inevitable victims of others' actions. Marcus Aurelius reinforces the importance of not wishing or choosing to be harmed. We control our emotions, our perspectives, and the narrative we tell ourselves about what happened. The Stoics emphasized that by feeling harmed, we become complicit in that perception because it's a choice we make. This philosophy invites us to redefine how we perceive the impact of others' actions on us. Instead of automatically reacting with pain or resentment, we're challenged to examine our own emotional responses and question if it's worth letting ourselves be deeply affected by these situations. Thinkers like Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, exemplify this idea by demonstrating the human capacity to find meaning and strength even in extremely adverse circumstances. He chose not to be defined by the atrocities he faced, but by how he chose to interpret and react to them. By adopting this mindset, we're not denying the reality of harm inflicted by others, but we're taking control of how that reality affects us. It's about recognizing our responsibility towards our own emotional responses and choosing a perspective that allows us to grow, learn, and move forward without allowing other people's actions to define us. Eighth, take a walk. Walking, for many, is more than just physical activity. It's a journey for the mind and spirit. Even Nietzsche emphasized that only ideas that come on a walk have value, recognizing the depth of the mental process that occurs during this simple act. Seneca also highlights the importance of letting the mind rest, likening it to fields that need time to produce. I do this daily, a practice I immensely value. Walking with someone or alone, around my property or in a park, is a moment for conversations, stories, and connection with nature. It's leaving behind distractions, turning off the phone, and abandoning the concerns of the day. I don't see it just as physical exercise, but as an exercise for my mind and an opportunity to nurture relationships and gratitude. Many notable figures found inspiration and clarity during walks. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche often roamed the mountains, finding mental space for his deepest ideas. Thoreau, while walking through forests, discovered a spiritual connection with nature that inspired him to write about simple living and the pursuit of inner truth. Beyond the mental benefit, walking also reconnects us with the world around us. Sometimes, amidst our busy routines, we might miss the chance to appreciate the little things. Walking reminds us to look around, absorb the details, feel the sun, listen to the birds, and simply be present in the moment. It's a moment for gratitude, for practicing appreciation for the present and the people around us. It's a practice that transcends the physical and extends to the emotional, spiritual, and social realms. Walking offers a space for reflection, creation, and connection with the world and oneself. 9th, keep a journal. Keeping a journal is a powerful practice that has the potential to connect us more deeply with ourselves and the world around us. Many people are intrigued about how to start this habit, and the answer is simple: start writing. There isn't a specific formula or mandatory format. The crucial part is to begin. There are various approaches to journaling, from gratitude journals to daily diaries, or even a simple Moleskine for a line a day. The choice of journal type is secondary. The key is to dedicate time daily to write. It's true that the best time to have started was in the past, but the second best time is now. So if you wish to start this practice, don't wait any longer. Start today. The habit of recording our thoughts, feelings, experiences, and daily reflections is a way to give voice to our personal journey. Great minds throughout history kept journals as a way to process their ideas, record insights, and reflect on their lives. People like Anne Frank, Virginia Woolf, and Leonardo da Vinci documented their lives, thoughts, and precious observations through journals, leaving a legacy of introspection and wisdom. Keeping a journal not only allows us to record significant moments, but also helps us develop mental clarity, self-awareness, and understanding of ourselves. It's an opportunity to unravel our deepest feelings, explore our thoughts, and plan our aspirations. Additionally, a journal can serve as a safe place to vent, express emotions, and alleviate the burden of what we carry internally. It's an act of self-compassion to reserve time for oneself, whether it's describing a hectic day, expressing gratitude for happy moments, or simply jotting down emerging ideas. 10th, grab the right handle. Epictetus's philosophy about the two handles of a situation offers a transformative perspective on how we choose to interpret and react to events in our lives. He reminds us that regardless of the circumstances, we always have the power to choose how we will hold the handle, how we will view the situation before us. It's a powerful idea applicable in various facets of life. When faced with challenges or difficult situations, we are presented with two handles, one that bears the weight, allowing us to grow, learn, and become stronger, and another that doesn't bear weight, leaving us bitter, resentful, and stuck. Epictetus illustrates this magnificently by bringing forth the idea of interpersonal relationships. He mentions the possibility of facing an incident with a sibling as a wound, a betrayal, or an opportunity for forgiveness and patience to become better and more compassionate. The idea of the two handles isn't just an abstract concept, but a practical tool for daily life. When we encounter adversities, a setback at work, personal disillusionment, or a significant challenge, we can choose how to hold the handle of that situation. People like Nelson Mandela, who endured decades of imprisonment but emerged with a vision of forgiveness and reconciliation, illustrate this idea in practice. He could have chosen the handle that bore bitterness, hatred, and retaliation, but he chose to hold the handle that made him a visionary leader for a nation's reconciliation. Epictetus himself, born a slave, transformed his own life by seeing his condition as an opportunity for learning and growth. He didn't allow his situation to define him, but chose the handle that empowered him to become one of history's most respected philosophers. Therefore, when faced with challenging moments or unexpected events, we're invited to consider this choice of handles. Regardless of what happens to us, we can ask ourselves, which handle are we holding? Which one will empower us, make us grow, and make us better as individuals?